Hello everyone, it's me, Aaron, Professor Thorky, your guide to all things geeky, and welcome to another episode of Comic Class, the show every single week on this channel where we just geek out about comic books, and as I speak, Suicide Squad is still dominating at the box office, depending on your definition of dominating. But this film was very important because it gave us the DC Cinematic Universe debut of Jared Leto's Joker, one of the most iconic supervillains of all time. And if you saw my review, then you know that I had opinions on his portrayal of the character. I'm sorry, I was thinking about something else. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, the Joker. So a lot of people are disputing after this movie who is the best Joker. Now, the Joker is a character that can be portrayed in so many different ways, it's next to impossible to rank them. But that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So here are my top 10 favorite Joker performances.
At number 10, Troy Baker. Now I know a lot of people might disagree with this choice because he was basically doing a Mark Hamill impersonation, but here's the thing. That's what he was supposed to do. He was hired to reproduce Hamill's Joker for another game set in the Arkham universe after Hamill left, and in all honesty, he did a pretty darn good job. And for his role in Arkham Origins, he was tasked with portraying the Joker's first confrontation with Batman, and he gave the Joker a bit more cockiness, a bit more free-spiritedness to him to enhance his big break onto the scene.
You see, it's a tradition in my house to open one present each on Christmas Eve. How about this one?
It really helped make for a memorable first encounter. Plus, when he returned in Assault on Arkham, he got to play around with his relationship with Harley in a way that never really came up in Hamill's performance, helping to portray the Joker in a way that we rarely got to see. Number 9, Kevin Michael Richardson. This one is probably going to be the most disputed name on this list. Either you loved him or you hated him, but honestly, I think that most of the hate for this version of the Joker simply came from the design. This totally different Rasta Joker, as many people have dubbed him, didn't feel like any Joker we had ever gotten. However, that was the whole point of the Batman animated series. It followed what to this day is still known as the most iconic Batman animated series of all time, and it couldn't attempt to duplicate that, so it tried to make something completely different. Every interpretation in this series was a completely different version of these characters, but they still tried to connect to what made them so iconic, and this version of the Joker was meant to be more energetic, more animated, bouncing off the walls, and Richardson totally captured that while at the same time having a voice and performance that captured the Joker's sense of humor and twisted playfulness. That's what I'll always remember the most about Richardson's Joker. If I had to assign him a role, I'd say that he was the most clownish Joker. You actually got a sense that whatever he was doing it just to have a good time.
Let the kid go, Joker.
I'm trying to!
Number 8, Richard Epcar. I'll admit that when I first heard this Joker, something felt off to me. At first I thought it was his deeper voice, but I've enjoyed other Jokers with deep voices before, so no, it couldn't have been that. But as I was making this list and analyzing each of these Jokers, it hit me what was so different about this Joker, and now that I recognize it, it's what makes me want to put him on this list. Watch this scene of him talking about his master plan.
You think you can have a family? That locking me up will magically reform me. And they'll be safe. So big, so dumb. Now run along, so I can break out of here. I've got lots of planning to do to top this.
Most Jokers go over the top with their playfulness and hammer their jokes in hard, but Epcar's Joker created chaos, and he just presented it as fact. Sure, he'd taunt and egg on the heroes, but he didn't go too far. He presented his madness like it was a business report, just the facts of what happened. But when he says it, and he still has that giant smile and that malicious tone to his voice that truly lets you know how sinister he is, it lets you know that he finds joy in this, not because it's a big joke, but because he just loves being that bad. Number 7, Michael Emerson. Whereas the last Joker was a scrawny straw-like figure with a deep voice, this Joker is the exact opposite of that, and yet it was perfect. Emerson's Joker was built like a tank. I had no idea what voice they'd give him, and yet when he talked, it was with one of the most soft voices I've ever heard come out of the Joker. But for this particular Joker, it absolutely worked. This was a Joker who was pretending to have recovered and healed and been the victim of the Batman after all these years. So he sounds more rational and calm than any of the other Jokers on this list, which is what made it all the more terrifying when he flipped on a dime and, well, went full Joker.
Do guests get to keep these?
Sure, you do whatever you want with it. We got a closet full of them.
So long as you won't miss it.
Hearing him twist that voice into something that felt like it was creeping up your spine indeed makes this a memorable performance. At number 6, Jeff Bennett. When I first heard Bennett's Joker, it wasn't like any other version I had heard before. In fact, it was so different with his sneering smarminess that I was a little surprised by it. But then I thought about it and realized that what made Brave and the Bold so special was that it was trying to capture a period of Batman's history that had never been captured before. The goofier 60s era of comics where he had crazy big adventures with all of his amazing friends, and back then all of his villains were more like gangsters. Goofy, over-the-top gangsters with big, exaggerated personalities, and that's exactly what Bennett did with the Joker. That's why I have to put him up this high. As I said, this was a Joker from Batman's history that we had never seen adapted before, and honestly, Bennett nailed it. You think back to those old comics, and this is exactly what I'd picture him sounding like.
So, not hurt anyone. Too toxic. Too stabby. Too fruity. Say, where's my... The real one will move. He always does.
Number 5, John DiMaggio. Okay, so we've had a scrawny Joker with a deep voice, a huge Joker with a softer voice, but what about a huge Joker with a voice to match? That's where John DiMaggio's unique tone comes into play. But it wasn't just that he gave the Joker a truly menacing voice, it's that he played the Joker like a true force of chaos, as someone whose end goal was just madness, and when he spoke with that voice that sounded like something you'd find crawling under your bed or in your closet, you believed he could actually achieve it.
I suppose I'm going to have to teach you a lesson so you can better follow in his footsteps. Nah. I'm just gonna keep beating you with this crowbar.
His Joker was like a true hyena, a rabid animal. He'd bite and devour anything around him, snap at the hand that feeds him, and then cackle as he did it.
I'll need some guys. Not these guys, because, well, they're kind of dead.
Number 4, Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero had a very unique situation with his Joker. He had to play a prankster, a clown, a loony cartoon character, but in a television series where everything was bright and colorful and crazy to begin with. I mean, how do you play a clown in a world that already looks like this? How do you play a prankster in a world where Batman regularly breaks into dance numbers? And yet, he did it. He found that perfect level to take the Joker to so that he was the master prankster and the wackiest villain possible on a show where everything was already as wacky as possible. Being able to mold someone to that perfect level of zaniness on a show where everything was already so zany on its own is truly an art form, yet he made it look easy. Number 3, Jack Nicholson. It's hard comparing any Joker to Jack Nicholson's portrayal because this was the one that made the Joker burst into the modern day mass media. Yes, people knew who the Joker was, they were aware of him, but Jack Nicholson's portrayal introduced him to a new generation of movie fans. It made audiences see him as a threat and as something more than just a clown-themed criminal. With that permanently distorted smile and warped personality that Nicholson gave his own special twist to, this version of the Joker became hands down the ultimate embodiment of the Joker's gangster persona. Number 2, Heath Ledger. What Jack Nicholson did for the Joker nearly 30 years ago, Heath Ledger did for a whole new generation. When you think about how popular the Joker is, how you see his face everywhere at conventions, online, and in every corner of pop culture, it's largely thanks to Ledger shocking the world with this performance. When we heard that Ledger would be playing the Clown Prince of Crime, everyone was shocked. Nobody dreamed of him in that role. He didn't seem to match it at all. but he ended up perfectly capturing the anarchist side of the Joker who just wanted to watch the world burn.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan? You know what I am? I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it. I try to show the schemers how pathetic their attempts to control things really are.
He took apart the entire city of Gotham, and Ledger acted like it was freeing, like he needed to see this city crumble. And beyond that, no Joker has been so mysterious. Ledger made this Joker a total unknown, more than any other embodiment of this character, and when you set that in the realistic world of the Nolan films, it made the idea of someone being a total question mark who could bring the world apart seem that much more disturbing. And at number 1, Mark Hamill. Don't act shocked, you all saw this coming, and for good reason. You see, throughout this list, you've heard me mention different sides of the Joker, and that's because like many other great characters, he wears different faces and plays different roles. The anarchist, the gangster, the prankster, the psychopath, the snake, the clown, the businessman. He's had so many different faces, and every actor on this list has done a great job of portraying those roles, but only one actor has captured all of them. And I'll admit that part of that is due to the fact that Hamill has played him for so many years, so he's had more opportunities than anyone to explore this character, but no matter what role he needed to capture, he did it just right. He could be cruel and manipulating one moment and then go clowning around the next. He could chill you to the bone and then make you laugh hysterically, which to me is one of the most unique things about Hamill's Joker. He's one of the few versions of this character who actually was genuinely funny.
That's a favor? You called me here just to open a door?
Well, look at the size of that cake, man! She can't open the door and push it in all at once! Think!
And not just that, one of the Joker's defining traits is that he's a genius. He's a master strategist, and we've seen other versions of the Joker capture that, but none of them to the extent that Hamill's Joker did. Everything from the classic animated series to the movies to the games showed us Hamill's Joker playing long games that tormented Batman like no other Joker before, and Hamill always had the perfect delivery to really drive home how twisted these plans were.
Behind all the sturm and batarangs, you're just a little boy in a playsuit crying for mommy and daddy. It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
And one last thing, I just have to throw it out there, but everybody has had their own personal Joker laugh, but to me, Hamill's will always be the best. But alright, that's it for today's episode of Comic Class. Thank you for tuning in, and let me know in the comments down below, who's your favorite Joker? Also, if you like this video and want to see more fun and geeky stuff from the world of comics, video games, and movies, then make sure that you hit that subscribe button because we do videos like this every single week. And if you want to support this channel, then make sure that you give us a thumb up and share this video around the web. It's the best way to help this channel grow, so thank you to every single person who has been helping this channel by spreading the word. Again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Comic Class. I'll see you next week for another brand new episode. Good night, everyone.